My team and I travel the world, searching for the most beautiful and spectacular places on Earth. Then we create short, impressionistic styled videos about them. At the heart of this journey is a loving study of color, light, composition. Our mission is to convey the wonders of a given place and help you, the viewer, feel the atmosphere as if immersed in a vivid dream.
The great raven Kutk flew over the boundless ocean with his son. They flew for a long time, until they grew tired. With nowhere to rest across the endless expanses of water, Kutk ordered his son to become the Earth, and Kutk himself went skiing on it. Where the ski trail ran, canyons opened up and high mountains rose. But it was too snowy and cold on this land. Then Kutk warmed it with his hot breath. The mountains were filled with his breath and were transformed into volcanoes.
Things got really hot after DJI approached us to make a promo video for the new Maverick 3 drone.
It begins!
Complete freedom to choose our locations. We were simply asked to submit several locations to choose from. Naturally, one of the first one on the list was Kamchatka. Shooting a 3 to 5 minute video can take 2 to 3 weeks. We can only shoot when the sunrise or sunset is just right, in order to achieve the maximum possible effectiveness, and the light is at its most magnificent. Each workday is planned with the tightest of margins. Our team never relies on luck. Every shot is planned down to the minute, so when Mother Nature is ready, so are we. As a rule, the most interesting places are very hard to reach. It is rare to do a job properly in a day. If the weather is good and we get lucky, 1 to 2 frames, some 3, 5, 7 seconds a day is all the material we can get.
It's beautiful. We're gonna shoot more with Mavic. We need to follow the light. The shadow is right on our heels.
The big raven Kutk saw a white seagull and fell deeply in love with her. He confessed this to the beauty, and her response was, "I would sooner believe that the eternal white sands lying here had turned black than that you could be loyal and loving." And that night, the sky over Kamchatka was covered with deep darkness, darker than black itself. An unprecedented storm raged, and in the morning, a seagull flew out of its shelter and simply froze. In just one night, all the snow-white sand turned black, and the big raven had disappeared.
Come on, come on. No, I'm losing the signal, because it's already too low. Make it even lower. Lower, please.
The first impressions of Kamchatka come from Khalaktyrsky beach. Black sand, huge ocean waves, and of course it's really impressive.
Spin it slowly and very smoothly. Should I drift and cut this corner or go further along the river? This shot, but fall back a little to get the river view. Okay, that's right. And now go to that spot.
The main attraction of Khalaktyrsky Beach, I think, is glamping. That is when you arrive, there is, well, pure nature, untouched beach. There's not much else. At the same time, there's a tent restaurant that's there. In the tent, there are heated sheets on the bed and you sleep in complete comfort. At the same time, you can hear the waves breaking on the shore and you understand that there's nothing around you, just nature at its purest. Car rentals without a driver in Kamchatka are a different story. Most companies refuse to issue a car. Until we drove through those specific places, we didn't understand why. That is, I talked with probably a dozen guides and each one answered with a resounding no. Meaning, no one will give you a car on your own, that's for sure. We didn't let that deter us. Eventually, we found just such what we needed, and the journey continued.
Once upon a time, two warrior brothers lived in Kamchatka. They fell in love with the same girl, and each dreamed of taking her as his wife. Shouts, quarrels, fights, and then arrows were fired at one another. The old shaman urged them to stop, and otherwise promised to turn them into stone mountains. But the brothers did not obey. Thus, their bodies were turned to stone. But their hearts continued to burn with love, splashing out with burning lava. One of these brothers was called Sheevlich.
We had planned the trip to Sheevlich volcano, which was erupting at the time. That is, the eruption was just beginning, and at what point it would return was not at all clear. Almost all the guides said, no, I won't go there now. The volcanologists also told everyone that right now it is very, very dangerous to go there, because at the time it was blowing smoke quite strongly. It could explode and lava could flow there at any time. In short, it was very unsafe. But our guide, Vyacheslav, to whom we give our thanks, agreed to accompany us there. That is because we really wanted to film the smoke and maybe to film the eruption itself, even if it was not the most powerful phase. The volcanologist said there is a possibility of an eruption.
Well, there is.
An eruption, yes. For an eruption, sure. The danger has been real as of the 3rd of the month. Since the 3rd.
Well, there you can get a Nobel Prize right away.
So we'll have time to leave if it does happen.
Yes. No, if there's an explosion, we won't make it. It wouldn't even make sense to drive away.
Even driving?
No way. That's it. If it starts, we will have nowhere to run. There is no safe place at all. We would keep shooting to the end and leave the drone somewhere for others to find and watch later. So you're essentially the orchestra on the Titanic, I guess. So what am I doing here?
We have to make the most of the frames that we can potentially get. So of course, there is an extreme element to it, making it exciting, and we love it. We always look for this when we shoot.
What drone are you going to fly now? This one. This one? Use its real name, Mavic 3 Pro. Volodya, this is Slava Chernishev. I'm calling by a satellite phone. There's something we missed. We forgot to order the food. Is it too late to call that lady? We would pay her. We'll be there around midnight. 7 people. 7, me included.
The next day, we left the hotel, which is one of the only ones in the village of Klychi, Hotel Svetlana, refueled at a gas station where we were told that we can't refuel, simply because this is the only gas station for 1,000 kilometers, probably. Anyway, we filled up and safely drove to Shvilich, which was already erupting. The first part of the path passes along the dirt road, followed by gravel, and next, well, you can't tell it's a road at all. It's just kind of tracks. It doesn't last for that long, around 50, maybe 100 kilometers at the most. Since you are forced to drive at a slow pace, around 5 kilometers an hour maximum, you end up driving almost all day.
Somewhere high in the sky, along with the upper master, the spirits of Kala once lived. He got angry with them and sent them down to earth. They became evil spirits. The day comes for them when the night comes for people, and they roam the earth while people are sleeping. Their breath is poisonous, bringing disease. Kala often attacks people, interfering with their good undertakings.
We were driving split into 2 cars. The guide climbed forward a little. In the back, we would stop to shoot things periodically. There were close-ups of car wheels and such. At some point, I realized that our car was stalling, just breaking down out of the blue. We didn't understand what was going on. I tried to start it again, and it won't start. The starter spins but doesn't catch. We think, well, that's it. Of course, we filled up at the gas station where you can't refuel. Like they killed the engine or, I don't know, ruined the filters. At that moment, our guide notices and turns around, approaches us, and stops. He gets out of the car and suddenly his car abruptly starts driving toward ours.
Getting some content? What happened? Well... Oh no! Holy smokes!
We realized that just 1 centimeter to the right or to the left, and we were left alone. Well, with 2 cars that won't start. It was already quite cold there in September, as the temperature dropped below 0 at night. Everything was covered in bear scat. In short, it was an adrenaline rush.
I hope nothing's broken. Let's shut off the engine and see.
Well, we got lucky. His car was reliable. Started, jump-started us, and we went even slower than we had been driving, at around 1 to 2 kilometers an hour. There was a long cable that was constantly getting tangled in the stones. At one point we stopped. Our guide Vyacheslav remembered that he still had a short cable. So he hooked us onto it, and things got a little bit easier.
We are being towed now with a short cable. The long cable didn't work. I hope the hardest part is over. The wheel is rock hard. The wheel is rock hard. The brake pedal is very tough. I'm pressing as hard as I can, but it won't respond. What will we do tomorrow? At least I got warm without the heater. Indeed, we got warm with our heater off and an open window.
Our guide Vyacheslav began to get a little edgy and everyone was tired, as could be expected after lugging around the second car like a box all day.
Friction just wears through the Kevlar fiber here. It would be perfect if in the end we hit it in the rear.
We suggested that we change it back to the long cable, since the current cable was so short that we couldn't even see where his car ended and our hood began, meaning we were bumper to bumper. He got agitated like, no, I don't want to hear it. Let's keep going. So we ride on, and at some point I say, I don't know, by the way, I think it's on the video, something like, all we need to top this off is if we run into his back bumper.
Сейчас, мне кажется, идеальное завершение будет еще в жопу его въехать.
The tire is flat. Did you slow down because of it? No?
When we returned to Petropavlovsk, I began to read reviews about the company, and it turns out they turn off the car engine when you go too far from Petropavlovsk, which means people wanted to leave us in the middle of the volcano without communication, transportation, and we would have to walk all night to the nearest village.
All right, we're off. To Tolbachik. Enjoy. See you never. Okay, bye.
Without even knowing it, we simply cut out the entire alarm system, cords and all, and drove on.
The mountain gods Kamuli live on the fire-breathing peaks of Kamchatka. Every night, they descend by air to the sea to catch their own fish. Catch, fastened on each finger and carried home. People are afraid to approach them, and when passing anywhere near their habitat, people toss in their direction something edible as appeasement.
Some of the guides said that Tolbachik is nothing that interesting in the end. Some said that it's the best place in Kamchatka. So we weren't sure about the place, but judging by the materials that we studied in advance, it seemed to us that it was a really interesting place based on what we'd read about it. Most of the guides I talked to tried to scare us away from these places. They said that cars would sink there, cars would simply overturn there, and that the chances of you making it there were next to none.
There are always eruptions taking place. The lava you see is from the previous eruptions. Who knows what periods they date back to? All these small volcanoes are made by eruptions.
On our way to Tolbachik, we were prepared for the worst. It's so far from civilization, from Petropavlovsk, even from the nearest village, which is almost a whole day's drive. We'd thought we'd have to stay in tents with no comfort, which is quite difficult on set because you're already tired when you get there. When working, you want some kind of comfort to help you recover. Well, when we arrived around midnight, we saw a huge tent with transparent walls and some calm music playing. People were lounging, drinking wine in glasses. Some waiter was serving pasta with seafood, all of which was a huge shock to us. We are in the wilderness. That seems to be a dead place, at the very mouth of a volcano. And here was a thriving civilization like a big city.
great raven Kutk had many children. One of them was named Gouch. He was the first to die in these lands and became the god of the underground light. He accepts everyone into his kingdom, from humans to the smallest flies. And they built yurts here, hunt, fish, and have a good time. But have no worries, as we've become accustomed. There are less storms, rains, and snow, and everything else in abundance. So everything is as on Earth. Rivers, volcanoes, animals, and even trees.
The dead forest is a forest that died during a volcanic eruption, meaning a forest on which lava flowed, completely burning down everything. The idea of which gave even more magic powers to this place, highlighting it even more as we flew between these trees with our drones lighting up each and every tree. The light played on the drone and gave it a very unique image, one you could not even be sure what it was filming or just graphics. Just for this, we collected some lamps in St. Petersburg, gathered everything that was available. Some were taken from Moscow because St. Petersburg, we didn't have the quantity required. These were large cases that we had to carry with us all 2 weeks. So we secured them on a special expedition rack on the roof of the cars.
We'll need them tonight for creating an art space, in which we'll be flying the drone. Here? Okay. Like this? No, put it a bit higher. Note how much time we spend on one, then we'll multiply it. I'm afraid we won't finish before the morning. Are they shockproof? Of course not. There, on the right. I'm not sure if we need them. A Boeing would get through there, and there are too many branches. At which height should we fly? The level of the lamp is not an option. What should we do? Move the lamps? We can't break branches for sure. We can't because it's a natural park. Right. Turn it on now. Just turn it on. Like that? Should I keep it close to a tree over here? Yes. Like this? Yep, even closer. Like this. How does the picture look? Seems okay. You may even start from here, from this tree. You're putting this drone at risk now, Andre. I think so. Oops. One down. Hand it over. It has turned on, and you claimed they weren't shockproof. Video bitrate, video subtitles, histogram. Hold on. Here. Yes! Let's have a look. Yes, it was recording while flying. And all this stuff. Oh, I have some. Great. You have two? Give me a candy. I already took one. Thanks. I'm getting a treat for a good shot. Like a circus animal, you know? What was that? The propeller was installed incorrectly. I don't understand. You installed it the wrong way, I guess. Is it even possible? Of course. Zhenya, did you film that? You did? You installed this propeller incorrectly. Oh crap. Swap this one for this one. Okay, take it. Damn. How did you do that? You should tape it together. You're losing feathers like a chicken. I'm just holding it like this, having no idea what's going on. He should have thrown it away. Would have been funny if I just thrown it into a tree. Let's tape the jacket. And now I just rip off his arm. It's as good as new, even better.
Tolbachik is not just any volcano. Until you visit this place, you can't fully understand. See, a volcano can seem like it's just a mountain, but in fact, it is a huge, huge area over which the lava flows, and it flows out quite often, every 5 to 10 years. It's a gigantic zone, like a huge national park, completely scorched by lava. It's very impressive that you can actually live in this place. You can drive every day there, 20 to 30 kilometers, and you will still be in the blast zone, completely scorched, completely dead.
Everything's okay. Any nice shots? Not a single one. Well, I have something, I guess. You're filming the backstage, right? No, not really. No? For the main video, too. Oh. Can you make some wide-angle shots here? Take lower. You can get a little lower. The mountain's gonna be closer then. This is good. A little further, please. Half a meter further.
On one of the days when we were living in a glamping area, we climbed almost all the way to the top of Tolbachik, which is kind of a 24-hour event. So we left early in the morning, and naturally, since we shoot at sunrise per usual, we always get back at night. The guide simply explained how we should behave in the event of meeting with a bear. So we would constantly shine a flashlight to the right and left, with someone always shining it forward, someone back. At any moment, you can meet with a bear, and if we met, then what we should do, we were supposed to all join hands and just start screaming. The idea being that the bear would see us as some kind of large organism that is much larger than the bear itself. That would scare him. But fortunately, we didn't meet any bears. Snow Valley is just such a base from which they go to other volcanoes, the main one of which being the Volcano volcano. This is also a huge zone of not just one volcano, but a chain of volcanoes.
So you think the weather's gonna be better? Over? Yes, it's possible. What's your opinion? I hope that when we get higher, the clouds will stay beneath us. Do you think we'll make it over to the top? Over? I think so. Or we send a drone higher up so we can hopefully see the peak in all its beauty.
И вот такое вот чудо. Сейчас не сюда-сюда.
Well, in our program, we plan to go out to the ocean in advance. At this time, just in September, there is a high probability that you'll see orcas or even larger whales.
The master of the sea, Utligan, always had a lot to do. So much so that he didn't have time to eat. Then he decided to enlist orcas as assistants. They turned up their noses for a long time. But who can refuse the master? And so it happened. They would bring him a school of fish from the sea, going to spawn in the Kamchatka rivers to watch, then attack a whale to feed Utligan with its meat. And people, when meeting an orca, make a sacrifice to it in order to avoid its wrath, and then put in a word for the poor fisherman before the master of the seas.
We're going out into the ocean, right? Leaving the bay? No. Not yet? Not yet. We're still in the bay. Will you let us know when we leave it? Sure. You'll see it. We'll see the ocean? Yep. Artyom's launching the drone so we can take a closer look. It's going to return to the same spot. We're not leaving it, right? We're going to be drifted away. It won't get to the same spot. Where's it going to go if return to home is activated? It's going to fall into the water. I've already seen that. Nothing falls on my watch.
This event is planned for the whole day in advance. The ocean is huge, and you never know where and at which moment orcas might appear. Just for the first few hours, we walked along the ocean, walked along the coast, just looking for them. And at some point, we finally saw how this sea water dust rises. At that moment, the captain put the pedal to the metal, and we flew to that place to finally meet the orcas.
They're really close. Guys, we found the killer whales. There's a whole family. The team is delighted. They got the drone up right away. Everyone's yelling and whooping.
It was dark and cold in the world because the spirit woman imprisoned the sun, moon, and stars in huge orbs. The great raven Kutk decided to free them, turned into a pine needle and fell into the water. The woman drank that water, became pregnant, and soon gave birth to a raven. He asked his mother to play with balls and pop them. The luminaries poured out into the sky and lit up the entire world.
My dad worked in Kamchatka, like he was in a squad or something like that. He told me all his childhood. That is, he had such vivid impressions. Of course, this imprinted on me, and always Kamchatka was something like this cosmic romantic. He lived there for 3 months. Well, all summer in fact. And, well, it was in his student years, but the impressions remain to this day.